Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, well, he's been very obliging this morning. Otaki Ward Councillor James Cootes. I had him down at 9:45 at one stage, then 10:15. Now he's back on the air right this moment. But he's a very important man. Good morning, James.
Good morning. But I tell you, I'm not going to go outside and stand in the cold and talk to you. It's too chilly this morning.
Yeah, that's okay. You'll be working in your kitchen there, will you? Getting things nice.
I'm in the office doing a bit of health and safety.
Great.
Riveting stuff.
Oh my goodness, yes. Is it getting worse, the health and safety rules?
Look, to be fair, everything's getting worse in terms of legislation and bureaucracy. I don't sort of want to sound negative, but you only need to talk to painters and builders and cafe owners, and it's just the way that society's going. It's I think this is the third lot of health and safety stuff that I've had to learn as a business and readapt to, and 132 pages of paperwork to wade through.
Oh my goodness!
So yeah, it's interesting when people say that the cost of stuff in general is getting too high. You look at it costs more now to put up scaffolding to paint a house than it actually does cost for the paint for the house, or the painter to paint the house.
Yes, and you've got no way around it either, have you?
No, I mean, it's not a council thing. This is, the thing that I'm dealing with my own business is from MPI, Ministry of Primary Industries. We're just becoming a very bureaucratic and legislated society. I had someone say to me the other day, they came back from the UK, been living over there for some time, and saying for a country with a population of 4 million people, we are one of the most over-regulated countries in the world. And you compare that to the UK, which I think has 26.4 million people. It's a big difference.
Yeah, sure. Oh, we've got too many people with too much time on their hands, you see, James. As simple as that. We could give them a job on the motorway up here or something like that.
Well, look, it's interesting, because I guess I see it from the other side, being involved in the council, and often the comment is that, bureaucrats, council staff, government staff are just sitting around with nothing better to do, so they come up with new rules. But the example I've used, and sometimes when I'm public speaking, I've actually saved an article from a couple of years ago where a bouncy castle over in the Wairarapa got picked up by the wind and lifted, quite sort of high up in the air, and a couple of kids got tossed out. And there was public outcry and parents and so forth naturally saying that more needs to be done. There's, no rules around erecting or running a bouncy castle. And I imagine in 2 or 3 years' time, you'll have a whole lot of set of rules and regulations come out about, erecting and running a bouncy castle. And then the community will jump up and down and saying, it's just a money grab and bureaucracy and so forth. So, where did it come from? It came from a cry from within the community that it was not enough was being done, and our people need to be safe. So it's a vicious circle.
And you're going to get a bit more flack, I should imagine, from your food vendors up these, like the Otaki Market, having to licence themselves. That's going to be a big one. That's a Kapiti Coast District Council ruling, isn't it? But they're just sticking to the rules given out by central government.
That's right. And so, look, I wasn't very popular the other week because I voted against the fees and charges, which council has set for administering the rules from MPI. I made it really clear in the meeting that, my objection isn't the objection of council staff or the work that they do. I'm fully aware of, I guess, their frustration. I know they've sent numerous communications to the ministry around the pressure that they're receiving over the new regime. But for me, I said to Guru, it was a matter of principle. I couldn't adopt the fees and charges when I disagreed with the principles behind them. So I'm all for safe food, and it's hard for me because I run a food business. So I declare conflict at the start. I don't sell at markets. I haven't sold at markets. I don't have any intention to sell at markets. But effectively, on one spectrum, you've got someone that might make a few bottles of jam or some fudge or whatever and go and sell it. Then you have to then go through quite a lengthy process to register. And then you've got, on the other end of the spectrum, you've got someone that could be like myself, that's a full-time bakery that goes down on a Saturday and quite rightly has a little stall and sells loaves of bread and so forth. So, for that type of person, I don't have any issue with them paying, full food licences and inspections and so forth.
But you'd have that licence, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you do already.
Does it cover the when you go outside and sell?
Well, the new it's complicated. I think it's too long an answer to give on the radio. But what I would say is when we have done, say, for example, the Kapiti Food Fair, there's a separate form we have to fill out to indicate that we have water on site to wash our hands and all of that sort of stuff. So I think there's adequate provision there that wasn't too onerous, that was quite practical. But what MPI have put on councils all around the country is a bureaucratic process that takes the staff so long to actually fulfil. They have to pass those costs on to the end user, which is the stallholders. Now, if the stallholders don't pay that fee, which could be anywhere between $900 in the first year, the total fees, or $600 any year thereafter, then it goes on the ratepayer. So it is either charged through fees and charges direct to the store holder, or us as ratepayers subsidise that. So from my point of view, I voted against the fees and charges. I think that councils around the country should have sent a stronger message to MPI, and they should have come up with a more simplistic process for markets that wasn't onerous on council staff to administer, or the stall holders to fill out or comply with.
Well, I mean, if it applies to the food holder with his jars of jams, etc., why doesn't it apply then? I hope it doesn't, but to sausage sizzles and things like that. I mean, you're most probably going to get more food infection through a sausage sizzle than what you are with some preserved jams.
I know. And look, that's where it becomes a really, I guess, a bit of a minefield of a discussion, because I don't agree with you. I don't personally have issues with sausage sizzles. Your argument, it can't be faulted. You probably get more risk with a sausage sizzle than you are with someone that's made jams or pickles or fudge for the last 20 years. I guess, look, my personal attitude is, if I go up to Auckland, I'm on holiday, and I go to the Onehunga markets, and I decide to buy something at the markets that's, it's a burger or something, look, I'm assuming that it may not be quite as safe as if I've bought it in a fully certified shop, and I take that risk. I know that risk when I'm buying it.
Yes.
That's my personal view.
Sure.
The same as when you go overseas and you're in, Bali or Indonesia or anywhere like that. I mean, you generally think that if you're buying from the street food, there is a higher risk that is associated with that than if you're buying in a shop. But unfortunately, what the government's trying to do is to make sure, well, I say unfortunately, it's a good thing in the sense that all food is safe. Let's be really clear about that. But unfortunately, it is meaning that people that are effectively making things like the fudge jams, pickles, and so forth get lumped with quite an onerous process to do so.
Now, on another topic, the Otaki Commercial Park looks like it's starting to boom along, is it? You've got sale or lease remaining land on the purpose-built businesses, but you've sold a fair few up there already. Yeah,
look, interesting. I met with one of the property owners, developers there the other week, just talking through, and I was actually surprised at how many. I think he had 27 sites that were available for development, so that was a lot more than what I thought. That's off or around the Akiaki Place, that sort of area through there. But certainly, you only need to drive down Riverbank Road and see a number of the sites that have got sold or leased on them, and also sites that are currently developed. So the scaffolding sites around by the skate park, there's two along Otaki Street there, and so a number of other businesses that have popped up. You've got the brick masonry place that's taken up one of the sites there. Someone else I knew was looking at putting in a music studio or something down there, and music events thing, and just literally can't find land down Riverbank Road now. So suitable for his site. So there's a bit more demand there. I mean, there's still sites there, but there's certainly demand as well. So that's really encouraging. Yes.
Did you go to the Transition Town Otaki discussion on waste management the other night?
Yeah, I did. I was there as the Otaki Ward Councillor, and I think I'll be at the next two on food, and I can't remember what the third one is. So that's sort of a series of forums that they're looking at running. So, look, really good night, and always I'm always keen and happy to go along and attend things where people are looking at solutions. I guess I'm a big believer of being a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. So I'm excited to sort of see what comes out of the work that's done there.
So what are they actually aiming to do with these talks?
Well, look, obviously there's angst out there within the community, not just Otaki, in terms of the current situation with rubbish and so forth. And I'm not too sure if I've talked about it before on the radio, but I mean, it's a tricky one, because there are those that want council to take the what people see as a core service, e.g. rubbish collection and recycling, back in-house. And I think, as we've said before, that would be a 6 to 8% increase in your rates on top of the proposed increase in rates, and no one really wants that. What transition towns are looking at, aside from that, or linked to that, is reducing waste to landfill, recycling, composting, all of those other options. Because unfortunately, what the general public want is a cheap, efficient way to dispose of waste. Now, that in itself is understandable, but it's not necessarily the best thing for the environment. If you think of a bag of rubbish and you can dispose of that for $2.60 or whatever and just throw it in landfill, that's great for the consumer. It's not great for the environment. Potentially 60, 70, 80% of that rubbish could be recycled, composted, reused.
Right.
So that's some of the stuff that Transition Towns is looking at, and we're keen to work with them over that. Educating
of the public how to recycle properly.
Yeah, but look, it's not easy. I mean, I use the example with my own business, and I'm always, I think, offline, I'm kind of careful not to kind of talk about my business. I don't want to be seen as promoting it, but we used plastic bags in our own business, single-use carry bags, and we've been looking to move away from them. But once I got involved in the discussion with different suppliers, it's an absolute minefield, because you could buy a bag with good intentions that's recyclable or compostable, but when you actually look further, it's only recyclable if there's a facility that recycles them, and it only composts if it's actually composted in the correct process. So if that bag just goes into a rubbish bin and then goes to landfill, it won't necessarily break down and compost. So it's a lot more complicated than I think many people realise. Certainly Transition Towns Otaki realise. They're aware of some of these issues, but just general public, they'll probably think, the good old bakery or cafe or supermarket just goes and replaces these bags with this biodegradable bags, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to make the problem any better.
All right then, James. Well, thank you very much for that. But we'll have a talk to you in a fortnight's time. In the meantime, keep warm.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
James Cootes, Otaki Ward Councillor here on Beach FM.
106.3 Beach FM.